So yes, in Nigeria, just localizing it to Nigeria, to the extent that we collect gender disaggregated data, I would say yes, partly because by regulation, gender is required. Is the agent either female or male? And then from there as well, based on the fact that in order to become an agent, you require certain KYC documents. One will be the biometric verification number, BVN. The national ID is also required. And more importantly, in recent times, you also need to have a business registered, the CAC with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and then a TIN number is also required. With all of these data, your date of birth, your age can also be deduced from the data that can subsequently be used to target initiatives and other promotions and subsidies to you. On our network, the location of the agent, what state are you in, what local government are you in, is also data that is also collected. And as such, whenever an initiative or program is supposed to be run, we're able to engage with the female agent. I recall that as part of a project that we participated in with EFINA, with focus on Northern Nigeria, acquisition of agents in Northern Nigeria. It was also important that customers who were coming to the agent location to transact, there was an interest to know whether those customers were either male or female as well. So that was another data set that we also had to collect on our platform. It was a challenge in the first instance for the agents because it was an additional leg of clicking a button to say a male or female for the customer, and they didn't see the importance of that and said it was adding to their transaction time to consummate that transaction.
When we look at female agents, in terms of the social norms, we have to factor in the fact that these vary from region to region, and any response to, in terms of targeting the recruitment of female agents, should consider the difference in the different regions and the social norms in the different regions. So for instance, in areas in the capital in Addis Ababa, for instance, social norms may not necessarily be as much a factor as they would in rural or urban areas. So any intervention should be very targeted in how to address those norms. And if that is happening, it should also collaborate with representatives or stakeholders from the communities that are being targeted in designing those interventions to have better impact. And in terms of, I think what was the other question, sorry? So the social norms and the other factors?
Yes. So what other factors do you think need a lot more investment in? When we talked about also the policies, for example, the gender disaggregated data, which is not being looked at. But yeah, beyond that, what other factors do you think stand out? I know the business case has not been explored enough. Yeah, go ahead.
In terms of the policies, as I mentioned, being a more nascent market, when we're looking at what NBE requires in terms of data from providers, recently they were probably requiring the providers to report on the gender disaggregated data, but per the regulation, it wasn't required. It was just to report on number of agents, active agents, etc. So some of those changes in what regulation requires should also be introduced to encourage providers to start paying attention to that number, but also maybe exploring similar experiences as in the case of Nigeria, where the regulation or policies require or provide guidelines on a proportion of agents by providers being female, and introducing options or policy options or policies or directives of that nature might also be helpful to push providers and to drive the case for female agents.
So it's part of, for example, the initiatives that we were implementing even in Ethiopia is, for example, to clearly provide these capacity development programs with financial service provider, including the regulator, what mobile money agency banking means, or even overall agent banking means, and how to manage the entire agent business cycle from the initial identification up to the final point of retaining agents and making them run a sustainable business. And what we understand from that intervention is most of the service providers are in the business of it just for the sake of it, not clearly having an understanding of the mobile money agent business. So having that clear set of understanding on agent banking or mobile money agents business is the first thing to understand. And in the past, when I was a practitioner, one of the biggest challenges that every agent used to raise was engagement, relationship management, and follow-up from financial service providers. And that's one big missing point for everyone. And when you speak with any financial institution, like going deeper into even onboarding female agents is the least worry, because as Edward was mentioning it earlier, they are just simply playing based on numbers. How many agents do you have? That's it. That's the number that they are using as KPIs and impact. So we need to go deeper than that in actually identifying, one, why female agents, and two, in what type of businesses are women engaged in? Because, for example, if you look businesses in Ethiopia, women-owned businesses, most of them are in micro businesses and they are mostly unregistered. And if they're not unregistered, they cannot become an agent. There are some policy workers to solve these challenges that are happening on the ground, but it takes time to bring in solutions towards that. But we need to actually even ask ourselves the why part is, and also how we are going to solve these problems.
I think it's actually an area that requires quite a lot of investment with regards to financing the female agents to run their daily businesses, with regards to basic things such as even the work environment where they do the businesses, infrastructure that is required for locating or situating a business is one of the major challenges that we've seen them to face on a day-to-day basis. Financing has been a huge problem for them, especially when you realize quite a lot of them are people with no previous savings before they started to do the agent business, or sometimes people with no previous employment. As a result, you see them seeking to acquire loans from most times informal sources, which usually come at high interest rates that has a direct impact on so many things, such as the pricing of the services they render at their agent locations, such as the profit margins they're able to make, because in order to stay quite competitive with regards to pricing, it means that they need to have probably a lesser consideration for the loan cost and remain competitive. And what this means is that if they are not able to do this, they sometimes lose business, or they lose the revenues or the profitability of their businesses. You'll observe in the services that do not require financial input, such as the customer acquisition, account opening, that the female agents are doing very well, right? Because these are services that they can do without the need for cash or liquidity. So it's a whole lot of challenges that they face, especially when you realize that there's the additional burden of needing to support the family, needing to support the children, needing to sometimes be absent from work because maybe a child is sick, or maybe they need to attend the child event, maybe in the child's school. So the challenges sometimes are more enlarged for the female agents, and honestly, it will be a great relief for them to receive as much support as they can, to make it easier for them to run their businesses. And I honestly believe that with adequate support, we will get to a point where female agents will begin to outperform what their male counterparts are doing.
In terms of a Ugandan context and what we're trying to do, I think one of the things we've found is that women do very well in terms of coming together in village savings and loan groups. And it is through those groups that they're actually able to start different initiatives. So they're able to save, borrow, they're able to invest, and even start businesses. So we're testing out a model where we are able to, for example, recruit the VSLA as the agent, and then have the outlets run by women as outlets under that VSLA, meaning that then we are able to bypass the KYC issue, because the KYC is on the VSLA. And then we have got that single point through which we're able to run training, support, actually recruit female agents, and then also be able to coordinate and address any issues that come up through that grouping. Now, I think in the initial sort of pilot, what we found is that that's actually very effective because when women recruit other women, it moves much faster. It helps to overcome a lot of the obstacles that have been raised here.